that an officer is an officer. There is no post of woman SP anywhere in India. It's just SP, and one should not be really associating everything with gender.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Afsar ka Safar. Today we have with us a very special guest. She is an IPS officer from Manipur cadre, currently holding the post of superintendent of police in a district in Manipur called Churachandpur. She has been working in this cadre for almost 7 years. Her educational background is engineering and she has worked in private sector for 5 years. Post that, she has also started an IT startup based in Delhi, from working in multinationals to being an entrepreneur and now an IPS officer. How has this journey been for her so far? Let us ask her and get to know more about this stunning lady. Her name is Amrita Sinha. Welcome, Amrita, and thank you so much for joining us today. I know you've been busy, but then really thank you. It's been a while since we have spoken about doing this interview, but now you're here.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and I'm glad to be here, and it's lovely to be interacting with you here, ma'am.
I'm happy. Amrita, my first question to you is, you are a woman in a service wherein, it is a male-dominated service. So how has your journey been so far in this service?
Policing, ma'am, certainly it has always been associated with the other gender more. But of late, there has been a good intake of ladies, also women, also joining force. And so far, I am a Manipur cadre officer, presently posted as a district called Churachandpur. And here, frankly speaking, ma'am, I do not see that gender related things, that people seeing through the lens of this gender. Oh, she's a lady, would she be able to do this? No, I have fortunately not come across this kind of situation, though it has been mentioned many a times on a very positive note. For example, one example which I can cite is with the latest COVID management, the way things went on in our district. And there was a lot of appreciation from the people. Some went on even to say that women work with precision, and so has our SP done. But personally, if you ask me, ma'am, an officer is an officer. It does not really matter whether you're a man or a woman. I have a gentleman officer who is heading the district as deputy commissioner and who is very sensitive to issues related to women, issues related to children. Some of the traits are kind of associated a lot with women, and some are associated with men. Now, policing is not just something which is of that masculinity and that kind of an attitude. It's the world is changing, so are the people, so is the dynamics, so is the society. And there's much more that is required than just being somebody who can physically be very robust and all. No, I don't really think that is the situation anymore. And at the same time, when people say that a woman SP, we have a woman SP, the first woman officer heading the district and all, I whichever platform I get, even through this platform, I would like to mention that an officer is an officer. There is no post of woman SP anywhere in India. It's just SP, and one should not be really associating everything with gender.
Right.
My experience so far has been absolutely positive and good and rewarding. I should not say that I have faced any kind of discrimination because of my gender so far.
Right. So the stereotype has been broken, and also because of. Do you think that this is a very specific thing to the state that you belong to, or do you see that even your batchmates or people who are in the service, the women who are in service at other places, are also experiencing the same thing as you are?
I think, ma'am, I have been a little more fortunate in this regard. I don't think the situation is the same all across India. It would take some time for people to really adjust and adapt and digest this fact that, yes, women can be working shoulder to shoulder with men and sometimes even better. In fact, recently when we celebrated the International Women's Day, I was just invited to one of our school programs as chief guest. And that's where I was mentioning that we do celebrate womanhood. on this particular day. But sometimes people say that women, they try to become equal with men.
Mhm.
I don't find a reason why one should really try to be equal with men. With all due respect to the other gender, I would like to say that there is a difference. And on that particular day, on the International Women's Day, we are actually celebrating this difference.
Mhm.
So women are different from men. Let us accept this fact. And keeping this fact, we should try to take our steps, do our work, whatever edge we have over them, whatever difference we have over them. It's beautiful and it is to be appreciated. Simple.
That's a very great thing that you have said, because generally what happens is when they talk about the equality part of it, it becomes a thing that they're competing with men to reach somewhere where men are. They're not understanding that these are two very different stories that you are developing. So I appreciate you said that, and I will stop with the women centric topic here with my last question that I have. With academy and the kind of training, physical training that is required, women or girls, the way they are raised, they are generally told that you cannot go play that ways. Physical activities are limited after a certain period. So did you find any difficulty during your academy days, or how did that go?
Well, academy was certainly it was a challenging period, and because we are trained as, like I said, like our male counterparts. There is not much difference except for probably some chin-ups and some push-ups.
Mhm.
So other than that, we do everything what our male counterparts would be doing during training.
Mhm.
And so far as I'm concerned, I have joined services from a very different background. I'm a software engineer. I had worked for a couple of years before joining services.
Mhm.
So I was not, let me admit and let me accept this fact that I was not into a lot of physical exercises and all. I wasn't leading a very healthy life before joining services. But that was not because somebody stopped me from doing it. It was my choice.
Okay.
And I did not find it very interesting probably back then.
Right.
Now my thoughts have really changed drastically, especially because of the training at National Police Academy. I give the entire credit to my academy for having changed and reshaped my personality altogether, my thought altogether. The way I look at life is very different now after having undergone those 10 months of rigorous training. Before that, I wasn't this way. And that was the reason that I used to find it a little difficult to cope up with the training.
Mhm.
And it had nothing to do with somebody imposing that, no, you do not. I come from a family wherein my parents have always been very supportive. We are three daughters and two sons.
Mhm.
And at no point in time did I ever get that thing from my parents that, oh, she's a daughter, so we should bring her up in this manner, and that's a son, so we should bring him up in the other manner. That kind of a difference I never saw in my family. But then, yes, the state I come from, I'm from Jharkhand, and my house is in Dhanbad.
Mhm.
The locality, the relatives,
Mhm.
all those pressures continues to be as in any normal Indian society, I would say. People would really question my father very often, oh, you're spending so much on your daughter's education, tomorrow you have to get them married, there would be this angle of dowry and all. But my father was never my father, my mother, both of them, they were never moved, they never thought that they need to give this a second thought.
Mhm.
But yeah, the society that I come from, there these things really existed quite a lot. It's deeply ingrained in our society, and it will take time. The mindset is changing slowly, and it will take time gradually. And there would be a situation, I'm sure there would. The time is not far when all the families would be thinking in a very progressive manner. So let us be
Here's
hopeful for
hoping
that.
to that. Here's hoping to that. That brings me to my next question. This is your second district as a superintendent of police. Uh, what exactly does a police officer in this position do?
A police officer, as superintendent of police of a district, has the primary role responsibility we talk of is maintenance of law and order.
Mhm.
That is our first and foremost thing. But apart from that, there are many other challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. And especially the district where I'm serving, it shares a border with Myanmar, and to one side we have Mizoram. So we have an international boundary, international border, as well as interstate one. So it is quite a challenging task. We have variety of issues in our district, and on a daily basis we have to be on our toes, literally stay alert, work with full dedication to ensure that the peace and stability of the district is maintained. So we have issues related to women, we have issues related to children, we have issues related to border, we have issues related to arms, we have issues related to drugs. And it is not just the policing task, which is what we are engaging in. At the same time, we try to engage the society also, the community also. We do a lot of awareness exercises. We have VIP duties. We have various kind of duties which cuts through the various ambits, the various things with which a society deals.
Right. Since you said this is an international border that your district shares your border with, so are you closely working with the army as well in this district?
Yes, ma'am. We do have presence of Assam Rifles as well as BSF in the district, and we all work in close coordination.
Right. Now tell me, Manipur, it is a disturbed cadre. How difficult have you found working in this cadre as compared to maybe if you have spoken to your peers about it? How difficult or how different is it to work in these cadres? You have already answered the question that if there is a difference of since there is a border, international border, and a interstate border. But apart from that, specific to this region, is there any problem that you face?
There are certain challenges which we face in this particular place where we give our duties, where we give our services. But I think it is there everywhere. And the nature of challenge, the nature of work would differ. As I have not served in any other location of the country in this services, so it would be difficult for me to comment on the nature of work that is there in other states. But certainly when I interact with my friends, recently I was there in Delhi for one award ceremony, the COVID Women Warrior Award, wherein I interacted with some of my batchmates who are presently working in Punjab and Delhi side. So they were talking about farmer protests and agitations. That had a relatively lesser impact in our state of Manipur. But Manipur has its own set of challenges. So it is certainly different given the kind of geopolitical situation that prevails.
Now, since your job is 24/7, how do you manage to fit in other things, family life, and some other gatherings, social gatherings maybe? Are you able to give time to these things?
If somebody says that we are not able to do it, I would say this is not proper management of time. If we manage our time well, we can take out time for anything and everything. Right. So even if it is a 24/7 work, but that does not mean that all the time one is in the field or one is out on duty. It is not so for any rank and file for that matter. So we all have to. Certainly, this is more challenging. This is more taxing. It requires it takes a lot of your time, energy, resources. However, at the same time, if we try to balance it out a bit, I'm sure we can all manage everything to have a balanced family life, also to have a social gathering also. And yes, I do interact with people outside police department as well, in the other departments, and we do have our social gatherings, get together. So it's about managing how well we are able to manage the work, how well we are able to take out time for all these small nuances of life. But there is a level of sacrifice associated with the nature of work that we're engaged in, and probably that is a nature that is the reason that we call it Indian Police Services. It is not a job, it is a service that we are involved in. So this would require some sacrifices, and once we don this uniform, once we get into this service, there are some kind of a mental preparations which are done prior to that. So all those things together help to strike a balance, and wherever we are sacrificing some things, somewhere we are mentally prepared to do that.
Right. There is a charm with uniform service that almost, I guess, everybody has. Did you have it at some point of time, and was that the reason you gave UPSC?
Charm for uniform, certainly, ma'am. I would say that everybody has. The degree varies. For me, yes, it was quite high. I should put it across this way. I wanted to get into police services. Certainly, it was always something wherein I always wanted to be a part of it.
Okay.
And writing UPSC, well, my first preference was IAS, and the second preference was IPS, but does not mean that I have any kind of a thing that, oh, I should have tried for some few marks more. I'm happy with what I have, and I take immense pride in this service. I take immense pride in my uniform.
You've already answered my...
And I hope I'm able to serve the society in a positive way with this service that I have joined.
You have almost answered my next question that was there, that did you, post coming into IPS, generally people have this idea that we'll give the exam again and maybe try to get IAS. So did you do that?
I had some attempts remaining, and I did write the exam once, but I think I was too settled with the thought that by that time my service allocation had also not come out. And my rank was 238, and there was a confusion whether I would be getting income tax or IRS, which was my third preference, or I would be getting IPS. And I terribly was interested into getting into IPS. I mean, I'm using the word terribly, so you can imagine how desperate I was to get into IPS. And thankfully, the combinations, service allocation worked out in a manner that I got into IPS. And I just took up the exam the next time. I can say that it was an expectation from my family also, that I just write once more. So I just wrote once more. There was not much preparation how I used to be prepared before. It wasn't anymore like that. I was quite settled with my rank because I had a strong feeling that this would take me to Indian Police Services. And yes.
So you were happy with the choice that...
Today I have no regrets. I think I missed your question, ma'am.
So you were happy with what you had got, or probably what you had thought that you will get. You were already happy and satisfied with that.
I was kind of somewhere there was a sense of security that yes, I would get something which I wanted to get into. At this rank, I'll probably get Indian Police Service, and the satisfaction which I had at that point in time and the satisfaction which I have today, there is no comparison. I'm much more satisfied today when I am in the service and when I have discharged my duties for past 6 years.
Right. Great. That is great. Now tell me...
I wish to do it more in days to come.
Okay. There is one question that I have. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am on Instagram. I'm on, I think, all social media platforms.
Okay. Do you use it for the way I have seen people who are getting into the services very recently, especially in the past 3 to 4 years when social media accounts have had, those influencer categories. They have been posting about their services, what work they do. Do you think and do you believe that this kind of promotion will get some positive recognition to these services at times when there is a lot of negativity floating around?
This kind of trying, I would make efforts to inspire people, but to categorize as an influencer, no. I don't go by this kind of a thing to influence the society through my Instagram. Is something which is regularly, and it is so times when I have time, when I feel like uploading a pic, I do that. So far as the negativity that surrounds, and to spread a positive message, I think an interaction of this kind, what we're having right now, is a very fruitful one. So I think what a photo can talk and what a talk can talk, there is a lot of difference. So when as we interact here on this platform, there are many questions which you are putting to me, and there are many answers, and there are many things which are not even such direct answers to those questions. There is more information that is coming out. There is more that I wish to share. So an interaction of this kind can still help in giving people an idea into what the life of an IPS officer is, what it is like to be serving in the Northeast, working in Manipur, what it is like to be SP of a district, than a photo on the Instagram. But with all due respect to everybody else who does that, if they think that it is having a positive influence on people, I would be happy that if the purpose is being solved in that manner.
Right. I asked you this question because most of the people, they have, when you upload things on a social media, and with a busy job that you have to apply your mind to write something. It is not just about the pictures, it is what you write below it, the captions or other things. So you have to spend time writing about the story that you are trying to portray. And also, this always has to be mostly has to be in a positive manner, which becomes a very difficult task to do. So what I wanted to understand from a person who is on Instagram but not very active is, do you actually, or do the officers actually get this much time to spend on social media?
Well, ma'am, let me admit this fact that social media today has a huge impact on the minds and lives of people.
Yes.
So, if we are able to channelize this platform and channelize the social media, be it Instagram, Facebook, or whatsoever, in a manner that helps in spreading some kind of a positive message, some kind of a positivity, some kind of an encouragement, it is absolutely fine. If that is happening, if people are able to do, like I see some of my colleagues also, some of my batchmates doing it on social media, and yes, if it is helping them to pass on a positive message to the society, it is absolutely acceptable. It is absolutely good.
Right.
But if you ask me personally, I as I don't do this, so I wouldn't comment much on this, ma'am.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on, how has this COVID situation affected the work of your people? Maybe because there was a lot of closing of the borders, and districts were sealed, especially during last year. Uh, how did that affect the people, and what changed?
COVID was a totally unprecedented situation, ma'am. Nobody had an idea of what it is going to be like in days to come. And it started with a lot of apprehensions, a lot of stigma also associated. And Churachandpur, to start with Manipur, it got its first case wherein a lady who had returned from the UK was found positive, but she behaved in a very responsible manner. I would really like to appreciate her for this. She isolated herself on one floor of the house, and yes, later on she did develop some complications, as I read from the newspapers, but managed to pull through very well. So that was the first positive case of the state. And for this district per se, we started getting some returnees. And even before they started coming in, myself and police and administration and medical, all the three together, all the three departments together, we had started spreading a lot of awareness. I remember that we made some videos and all awareness videos that first of all, we should not look at them with that stigma, with that they could be. No, they're all our brothers and sisters if they're coming back. We need to have a proper strategy. The first thing about the entire thing was to have the right knowledge, which was actually a difficult, a very big challenge because none of us knew how it is going to be like.
Right.
And if we talk of police, we had a difficult time, certainly. Our duties had increased. We used to, tremendously, we used to patrol the town from 3 a.m. in the morning, especially for lockdown enforcements and all, because Manipur, we have the very early sunrise. And all these vegetable vendors, fruit sellers, and all, they would want to have their items displayed early morning 3 a.m. Some of the vehicles would come with all their fruits, vegetables, and other items. So it was actually a challenge to keep a check on that, and we had to be on the roads at least an hour before they start coming and piling on the goods. So for us, the day used to start almost when half of half of the world would be sleeping. So that's how the day used to begin, and we used to do a lot of patrolling and spreading awareness. At the same time, we had to take care, as SP, I have to take care of my police personnel also, because if I remember when the first case came in to one of the person in the Churachandpur district police, we all had it was actually something which shook all of us. We cannot stop the discharging of duty if there is any problem, if there is a hot spot wherein there is some trouble. We have to rush in, and I personally went down to some of these hot spots, because to send somebody just like that, it is as if you feel like you're sending your child to a war zone.
Right.
So we cannot just like that do this, and we had to ensure that everybody is equipped with proper masks, sanitizers, gloves, and with all this, let me also mention that we got a lot of help from the civil society organizations here, from some of the philanthropic organizations, the churches. I remember every other day somebody used to come with set of masks, sanitizers, gloves, and we kept distributing it to our boys, to our teams. And there was a lot of shortage of masks and face shields as COVID started. So we identified some of these skilled men and women of police department, and we started stitching our own masks. So that also gave a great impetus, and we never felt the pinch of a shortage in the market of supply of masks. We also received some items to fight COVID from as part of the corporate social responsibility of Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, Visakhapatnam. So the chairman was very kind, and he was observing the work that we all are doing here, and he helped us with a lot of masks, sanitizers, PPE kits, thermal scanners. We had prepared some lists of all those police personnel who are having some underlying conditions, some health issues, some pregnant women, lactating mothers. So we used to give them duty in a manner that their exposure is limited. So there was a lot of intricate planning and all that went in. And again, there were these borders, and we had to protect our villages. So there was a lot of awareness exercise that was carried out. And not just that, even for the public, we like with the administration, a lot of home deliveries had started. So these things helped us pull through the first phase successfully. Yes.
With COVID situation coming back, this time I feel that most of the people are better prepared. Do you feel that your forces are also better prepared this time, if at all they're
Certainly, ma'am. I would say we are better prepared, because now it is no more the fear of unknown, at least, is not there.
Right.
We know how it has been in the past, so now I'm sure that everybody here, even now, we are enforcing the SOPs and guidelines, and people are like made aware that they should be wearing masks, they should be sanitizing their hands frequently. The police department, it is a strict instruction passed to everybody in Churachandpur district police that if we find somebody without wearing mask while discharging duty or even otherwise, and we'll take strict actions the way it is done for anybody else, or maybe even severe. as enforcers of these guidelines, we need to really guard ourselves better so that we're able to enforce this with all our efforts, all our 100% we're able to give it to the situation. And I would say we are better prepared. And the vaccine has also come in. I myself got the second dose of COVID vaccine 3 days back. And the police force has met about 80% or something of Churachandpur district police. And there is an adjacent district and one battalion, of which we are taking care in Churachandpur district headquarters. So together we have about 80% of our personnel vaccinated with the first dose. We're doing it for the second dose also, and we're working in close coordination with the administration and medical department. The awareness is still going on. The SOPs, guidelines, enforcement is still going on. So this time certainly we are in a better situation than how we were a year ago.
Right. Now, towards the end of this interview, I wanted to ask, how has your preparation time been? What those typical UPSC questions I would like you to answer. What were your, what do you call them? The optionals?
My optional was philosophy.
Okay. And how was your preparation? How did you prepare? Were you those, did you belong to that category which was preparing for 15 hours a day? Or did you fall into that category who were preparing for say 8 to 10 hours?
Don't categorize me that way, ma'am. It would be very difficult to say like that. But yes, there used to be days when I used to study for longish durations, like 12 hours, 14 hours, like that. But at the same time, I used to ensure that in a week, I take at least one day off for myself.
Okay.
When I'll not study anything. So I used to really look forward to that one day, and rest of the days I used to really give my heart and soul to the preparation, so that because UPSC, like we know, the syllabus is vast. We have to know almost everything that we can think of. We categorize the question papers, subjects. It comes to history, geography, polity, economy, science and current affairs, ethics and morality, climate change, everything. So I used to divide the entire study material into two sections. Basically, one was a traditional, there is a static part which does not change, and the second one was the dynamic part, which was a lot influenced by the day-to-day happenings across the globe. So I used to divide my day also accordingly, and a part of my day used to be for the traditional part, which is the static part, and rest half of the day I used to focus on what is happening new, reading more magazines, browsing through internet, some of these websites which are available for free on internet, newspapers. I used to focus on those. And like I said, I used to take one day off, and that one day I used to be very, very relaxed and detached from my preparation. That one day was my day, and that day I would not study anything. But rest of the 6 days, I used to study about 12 to 14 hours. At least the attempt which I qualified, and year prior to that, I had got into this schedule.
Okay. What is your advice to the people who are preparing?
My advice to the people who are preparing is that this is a vast thing, no doubt. But if there are 1,000 people qualifying this exam, there are 1,000 ways of doing it, and there is no one way which can be said as perfect. My way worked out well for me. It might not work out well for you. So devise your own mechanism, devise your own method of studying. Have a consistency in preparation. This exam requires consistency. We need to do the same thing again and again and again. Even if I'm doing a chapter of history once, I cannot say that I have completed it. Right. Till the time I have not qualified the exam and decided that, okay, no more writing of the exam. Right. Till that day also it changes. We have to continuously, it is a continuous process. And we have to continuously upgrade our knowledge. We have to be very, very aware of what is happening, not just in our country, but across the globe. Not just any one domain, but everything possible. And one should be very, very optimistic also, because during the preparation, like very few people I have seen who have managed to, with little effort, without putting in so much of hard work, they claim that they have managed to crack this exam. Might be it worked out well for them, but it wasn't the case for me at all. I did put in my share of hard work for cracking this exam. It requires dedication, it requires sincerity. You have to be honest to yourself. You don't have to show it to the world that you're studying for so many number of hours or you know so much. It is for your own self. And this exam is a competition with your own self. I don't think that it was any day I thought that I have to compete with the person living next door. It was my competition with myself, because all of us have immense potential and we need to just actualize that potential. It is all within us. And the day we understand this, our approach towards exam changes. How much I can, as I said, how much potential I can actualize is my effort in a direction which I want to proceed in. And through the available books, study materials, and all, one has to just put in consistent efforts. There will be a lot of mood swings, there will be failures, there will be many things, many ups and downs on the family front, on preparation front, but one should not get deterred. Stay tightly focused. If once you've decided that you want to take up this exam, at least for me, it was like nothing, no turning back. I had decided, and it was like I will give in my 100% to this exam. And I think the day I gave in my 100%, I got my results too in a favorable manner. So there was something lacking in my previous attempt when I could not qualify. I went an interview, but my mains marks were relatively low, and I did not. My name did not appear in the final list, and I was so jolted. I'm sharing my experience because I think it was like a very something which many people can relate to. With the interview results coming out and I not seeing my name in the final list, I was so shaken that I could not gather myself for the next attempt, and I did not manage to even crack the prelims in my next attempt. So we think, oh, this is the end of it. This is the end of the world. That is not the situation. This exam, after one qualifies, the nature of job that we get into, the nature of work that we get into, is also very, very challenging. And the preparation, it actually helps one shape up the personality, which makes us suitable for the discharge of the service that we are going to get engaged in days to come. So all these ups and downs, one should not ever think that that this is something which is not my cup of tea. Like I said, 1,000 people qualifying, it is 1,000 different ways of qualifying, 1,000 different strategies, and that is, I'm talking of 1 year. The civil services have been for years together. So we just have to continue working towards it in a focused manner, work with sincerity, understand the competition is with your own self, and given your 100%, given your best, I'm sure we will all be able to have our places set where we wish to see ourselves.
Right. That's a great advice, and that brings us to the end of this interview. Amrita, thank you so much for giving us a lot of time, and you have given us a lot of insight into the typical things that we think women in service or uniform, and so many other things. So I would really like to thank you for this interview.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was lovely interacting, and it was lovely to share what has been the journey for past so many years. And it was a lovely opportunity given to me. Truly honored and privileged to be part of this. Thank you.